Ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'm probably sure is one of your favorite movies of all time as well. House Party. Oh my God. This movie is an instant classic. This movie came out when I was like probably 10 or 11 years old, way back in 1990, and my God, it still holds up to this day. It had so many great things going for it. It had Kid and Play starring in it as the lead characters. It also had Martin Lawrence. It had Tisha Campbell here, and it had AJ, I believe Johnson. So you had the representation of a beautiful light skinned girl and a representation of a beautiful dark skinned woman. Okay, all right, and they even had a message of safe sex here. They had the message of what happens when you sneak out of the house at night when you're not supposed to be going out and you're supposed to be grounded, what happens to you, the consequences that you have to deal with. So everything you could think of happened in this movie. So I mean, this movie without a doubt is one of the best movies I've seen, and it goes up there with classics just like New Jack City, Sugar Hill, also movies like Dead Presidents. You know, there's a lot of great black movies out there, and this one right here, this series by far is one of the best. House Party 1 and 2 especially. I saw part 2 in the movies as a 12-year-old, but I would say probably House Party 1 and 2 are the best ones. I mean, part 3, understandable reasons why I don't really like it. I mean, I don't want to give it much away. I might do a review on 2 and 3, so I'll get into that another time. But definitely part 1 set the whole trend for this house party thing. The music, the style, just the black love that you see there. Like I said, the message of safe sex, the representation of the black woman, light skin and dark skin, everything you could want is in this movie. The comedy is there. The late great Robin Harris, his last role, just beautiful. So early on, Kid Christopher Reed gets into a little problem at school when he bumps into the local bullies full force, not once but twice, and gets into a fight. Winds up getting his ass beat and gets sent to the principal's office. Now, unfortunately for him, he wants to go to this party that Play is holding because Play's parents are not home for the weekend, and it's going to be said to be one of the biggest parties. Bumping, grinding, and all kind of rap music and craziness going on. But he gets into this fight, and unfortunately, his father has to be notified of him getting into this fight, which is going to ruin his chances of going to the party. So one of the funniest moments, and there are a lot of funny moments in this movie. One of the funniest moments to me, and I'm saying just one of the funniest moments, is when he gets home. He's worried about his father getting the letter from the school. I'm trying to say to myself, how the hell would the letter get home before he got home? So he's looking all around the house. He checks the mail right here. He's trying to stop the phone calls from coming through. Anything that communicates with his father, because his father's in the house, he's trying to stop. But unfortunately, as his father gets another phone call, he goes to the door, and unfortunately, because the people, I guess they didn't want to put it in the mailbox, they threw it. Unluckily for him, they threw it underneath the damn door, and his father finds out about him getting into that fight, and decides that he is not able to go to the house party that Play is holding. So what do you think Kid does when his father decides that he's not going to be allowed to go to the party? Kid decides he's not going to be stopped by his father's decision. He's going to sneak out. So that's exactly what he does. A running gag in this movie is the fact that Martin Lawrence, who plays the character called Bilal, has dragon breath. And if anybody knows what dragon breath is, it basically means your breath is hot, your breath is stinking. So the whole movie, he's trying to hit on girls, and girls are telling him he has dragon breath. There was one scene when he had. I'm gonna show you something real quick. This is a prelude to Martin right here. Let me show you something right here. Unbeknownst to all of us who watched this movie back in 1990, we were seeing the beginnings of a prelude to a new television show called Martin, starring Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell. The two of these actors will be paired up in that series as boyfriend and girlfriend, but will meet as friends on the set of this particular movie known as House Party. And it's always funny to me when I watch this scene, because I'm like, damn, they did this movie back in 1990, and then 3 years later when Martin came out, I think it was 93 when Martin came out, they were playing boyfriend and girlfriend. So it was actually funny. And they were also both in House Party 2 as well. So this is actually an interesting scene and a milestone, to tell you the truth. And what black movie would not be complete without the white cops harassing the black people just for doing nothing but simply mind their own business and walking to a party, or just mind their own business and walking home. It's just funny how like every single black movie that you would see, and I didn't know back then because I was a kid, but almost every single black movie that was out, New Jack City, Menace to Society, New Jersey Drive, always had this constant narrative of the police messing with black people. I didn't know it back then because I was shielded from stuff like that. And I never had cops harass me. But you see in every single movie, even in a comedy like this, as a beautiful classic as this is, they do still have that narrative even back then, which is still true to today, where these white cops will harass you for no reason. They even wind up harassing kid's father, who is going after him to find out exactly where he is because he's trying to find him so he can whip him and, punish him for disobeying his orders of staying home. So there's a lot of great music in this particular movie. The soundtrack is amazing. The soundtrack for House Party 2 as well is amazing. The one thing I noticed about this is I said there's a good representation. Well, there's a representation of light-skinned black women and a representation of dark-skinned black women. The thing that I noticed about the dark-skinned black woman, AJ Johnson, is the fact that she's very full of herself. She knows that all the men want her, and she'll play the role of knowing that they want her, but she's not going to give it up to them, which is cool. And then you have the light-skinned black chick, who is Tisha Campbell here in this case, who people view her as beautiful as well, but she's the girl that actually wants to be with Kid, whereas Kid wants to be with her at first, and then comes to realize how cool of a person this chick is, and they wind up having sex at her folks' place. But that's where the issue and the message, I should say, moreover, the message of safe sex is brought into play, which I thought was pretty cool. These are all things that I notice now as a grown man, which I didn't notice when I was younger because I was just enjoying the movie for what it was. I was always about the house party, always about the singing and the dancing. That's another thing you'll notice about this movie. The dancing is amazing. It still holds up to this day. And most of these songs that are on this soundtrack that you see in the movie, when people are dancing in motion, it makes you actually want to get up and dance as well. Correction, he was making out with her at her parents' house. They were about to have sex, and he was taking this really disgusting unused condom out of his wallet, and then he realizes that it's not able to work. So what happens is that they decide not to have sex. They decide to wait, which is a really good message, especially for like the younger audience that maybe like 13 or 14 watch this movie, because I think it may be okay for 13 and 14-year-olds to watch this, because there's not really anything indecent going on in this movie. There's no nudity. There's mild sexual situations where it comes to kissing and making out, but there's nothing very sexual, nothing nudity-wise that a parent have to worry about. And it's just a real fun movie. I mean, I can't really say much more than that. It's just a really, really fun movie. And most of you who are watching this, and I'm stumbling over my words because I'm just so excited to do a video about this because I love this movie so damn much that, I don't think that it'll be a problem if you watch this with a child. As long as the child has parental supervision for certain scenes when it comes to cursing and stuff, I think you'll be okay letting like a 10 or 11 or 12-year-old watch this. But it's up to you. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like I said, I was 11 years old when I watched it, and I didn't have a problem with it. And they allowed my mom and my family pretty much allowed me to watch it, but they were watching it as well. And they did kind of cover my eyes when Kid was making out with Tisha Campbell, but of course I was too young back then. The one thing I need to say is there are a lot of beautiful black women in this movie. The hairstyles, the different skin tones, they just look absolutely beautiful. The outfits they wore, they weren't scantily clad, they weren't whorish, they were very respectable. I miss that time. I miss the 90s when women looked like this. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about the women now, but a lot of women back in the time when I was a teenager had a lot more respect for themselves. And a lot of these brothers out here were real, true brothers that loved their black women and didn't disrespect them like a lot of these men are doing now. The scene near the end of the movie where a Kid explains to Play and Bilal that he didn't have sex with Sydney because, which is Tisha Campbell's character, because he didn't have a condom, is actually really important, because it shows how some of the minds of brothers were back then. How some brothers say you still go and hit it and quit it, where people like Kid that had the same mindset of him would not have sex with a woman unless they had protection because they didn't want to get the woman pregnant. They didn't want to get any kind of HIV or any kind of, venereal disease or anything like that. So it's really, I mean, that's what I'm saying. The message of safe sex was in this movie. The message of the representation of of good black men of friendship was in this movie. It's just a real feel good movie. You see a lot of stars in here like Daryl Chill Mitchell, who's unfortunately paralyzed from the waist down because of an accident. I believe he had a motorcycle accident. There's a couple of people in here, but this is just a quick review for me. It wasn't really like a really standard review. I was just rambling on because I love this movie. Who doesn't love this movie? I know somebody's gonna raise their hand and say me. Yeah, I know. But yeah, this movie is great, and I don't know if you can see it's got me in the dark right now, but I bought the DVD of this. Let me just pause the video and show you. Hold on a second. You can get this. You can get this really, really cheap from Amazon or probably from like a bargain bin at any kind of store like Walmart or wherever they sell like these little bargain bin types of DVDs. But I got it for $9, $9.99. Right before Christmas. Actually, got it right before Christmas as a Christmas present for myself. And you get House Party 1, House Party 2, House Party 3, and House Party... I don't know why House Party 4 was on that, because Kid and Play not even in that movie, and House Party 4 sucks. I know there was another House Party movie that Kid and Play was in. I think it was House Party 5, something like that. I think there was another one that was made that they're appearing near the end. But really, to me, the two best ones are 1 and 2. House Party 3 was okay, but I didn't like the story of it, and pretty much if people seen every single one, they pretty much know why. But definitely, this is definitely something that if you have never seen this movie, or if you have heard of it, you should definitely add it to your collection because it's definitely fun, definitely worth watching. You'll have a good time. The music is great in all the movies that I know of for 1 and 2 and 3. Definitely something you should put into your collection if you're a fan of Kid and Play, especially, or just hip hop. And the moral of the story, kiddies, is don't sneak out the house unless you're ready to get your ass whooped. I'll talk to you guys next time. House Party. This movie's great.